Good Christians are, generally speaking, the most gullible people on the face of the earth, because they don't really believe their book. Those of us who have existed, at least for some portion of our lives, outside of the circle of civilized society, and seen how the proverbial sausage is made, and seen real evil up close and personal, with the blood still dripping from its sneering wolf teeth, who come into or back to Christianity, see things in the Bible that were always there. Yet the good Christians, in their relentless endeavor to create escapism and call that a Christian life, have tried so hard to pave them over and blot them out and ignore them, to trifle with politics and philosophy and economic ideology and the trappings of the world that have nothing to do with actual Christianity or the Bible or anything about the living God. Things that if they were actually worth having or doing could not be done worse by a shallow-minded, trivial, obsessed people who only go into such things halfway and with no real mental tenacity, and will always be outshone in them by a world that does them far better, because it is all they have. And yet, the people of the book have something far better and far more real, if they would only, just only, believe their book, the book they claim to believe, but they don't. And having left truth, claiming to have found it, they flounder in all the deceptions of the world and trade their rifles and tanks for water balloons and pop guns and champion their Barabbases instead of their living Christ, and fall face down before Goliath like a little boy with no cause, thinking they have a cause, and having failed to read their instruction manual in any real and tangible way, like their lives depend on it, and the lives of their children, because they do. They are left to pine and opine about the fading state of a world plunging into scientism and lawlessness and godlessness, failing to see that their spiritually powerless form of churchianity and political pandering and sensational emotionalism and dead intellectualism and materialism and putrid hypocrisy has created this world by derivative and default, and their so-called churches are atheist factories, tombs full of dead men's bones, and good Christians who have gathered their robes and left a lost and dying world to figure out who beat them and why, as they hold the robes and hand the stones and the pistols and clubs to the Jericho Road mercenaries who run this world and train them to believe in them in their institutions. Christian men fattened on their plump little sheltered intellects do not really believe the adversary has never changed, and that he is still prowling the earth, looking for human blood in the souls of men. They do not see that every creature comfort they have in the first world is bought at the cost of the misery and suffering and exploitation of the third world. They will scoff in their fattened and sheltered minds that such talk is SJW foolishness, and we are a great land of prosperity. But they're not the ones doing the hard and thankless work, the work that is done at the ground level and for poverty wages by predominantly down and outers and undocumented immigrants, and those who are born into an endless cycle of dead ends and could not conceive of more. Such work is below them because they are Americans and have tried and made something of themselves after all. These good and prosperous Christians have bought the myth of the self-made man and the invisible hand of the market, which will correct all wrongs and make even greed itself a charitable exercise in benevolence. And if you or I were to say a poisonous word against the way things are and the artifices and machinations whereby filth pigs are allowed free rein to run their cartels, monopolies, and their Ponzi scheme games, good Christian men would guffaw and tell us not to hate prosperity or ourselves. Good Christians have whored after an idea that prosperity can be measured in economic terms instead of moral character. Good Christian men are not electing a pastor after all. So what does it matter if the man they elect has a moral compass or on what pole that compass is tuned, as long as he stands for business and the American dream? Good Christians will say it is enough, and God bless America. Good Christians believe in freedom domestically and tyranny abroad. Good Christians will whore after the Babylonian beast system until it burns and then weep bitterly with their merchandise-selling messiahs at Christ's return. Good Christians will cheer on and champion their government as they slaughter real Christians in far-off lands. My friend, do not be a good Christian. Believe the book. It is all there in black and white, same as it ever was. The wick trimming is being done, or it is not. And if not, then the doors may soon be shut, leaving those of us who have not heard the call and trust our dogmas, ideologies, and doctrines over any real application of the precepts of the book on the outside, in the dark, where there is only the bitter weeping and gnashing of teeth forever.